Jesus is rich. Why he is rich? Because he saves. And the gospel acclamation tells us Jesus was rich, but he became poor to make you rich out of his poverty. And that is deprivation, emptying of oneself. And this is what Jesus is telling us now. To follow him, we have to deprive ourselves of so many things. Our attachment in the world, our attachment to things, especially to material things, the richness of this world, our attachment to our families and loved ones, in order to follow him. So that thinking about this, sometimes we realize that it's hard. It's hard to be a Christian, to follow Jesus with his words. In fact, Jesus would tell us today in the gospel, easier to enter into the needle for us to enter into the eye of the needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. It's the eye, but Jesus would even say the camel to enter into the needle. This is just an expression. It's really hard, the camel, the shape of the camel, how can it enters. But what Jesus is telling us is it's really difficult. And this is the reason why St. Peter and the rest of the apostles would ask, who can be saved? And Jesus would say, you have to give up a lot of things. Then they would ask again, what about us? What will be left of us? Nothing is impossible to God. Striving for Christian perfection may be difficult, but we can always strive for holiness in life. And this is the reason why Jesus is telling us to keep going. We can strive for Christian perfection by developing virtues. We cannot develop virtue unless we have to practice good habits. Emptying ourselves means to do something good, always, to practice goodness in our lives. For instance, the virtue of temperance, which is to abstain from things that we used to do in order to control our passion, to control our emotion, to control our appetite. This is hard, but temperance is a virtue. It is a moral virtue, but that is a step towards holiness. That is a step towards the kingdom. And it's a matter of practice, getting used to it. So that sometimes we realize that we complain, people complain, even we Christians complain. It is normal for us to complain. In fact, God allows us to complain. Perhaps he wants us to hear us so that we can communicate to him, although he knows what we want and he knows what we need. But we have to communicate to the Lord and realize sometimes that we need to do something and we are groping in the dark. We do not know what to do. It needs God's intervention. We need the light of God. We need the inspiration of Jesus. So today, we are being inspired to do something more in our lives, to develop virtues. We may deprive ourselves of so many things. We may deprive ourselves of our attachment to the world. But then, at the end of the day, we have to realize Jesus is telling us that there are many last that will be first. Maybe we may be last here on this earth, but we may be first in the kingdom of God. Let us reflect on the word of Jesus today.